Yes, welcome back. You're still watching Power Breakfast on Citizen TV, and we continue the news review with MP Joe Mutambu. Bwana Kipruto Rapkiru has just joined us. That's the Deputy Party Leader, ANC. Good morning and karibu sana. We also do have MP Chris Omalo from Kiminini and Karanja Kabage, an analyst. Of course, just before the break, we were discussing this cancellation of the tender for the Kenya Integrated Electoral Management System by IEBC, and whether or not it presents a problem in management of the next elections. Now, of course, what we do understand is that this technology should be in place by 10th of April, because we're supposed to use it as early as 10th of May. That's ahead of the elections. In my calculation, it's only about 13-14 days to that deadline. Now that tender has been cancelled, what does it mean? Now, of course, this gentleman, the debate quickly turned into a Jubilee versus NASA issue. But Bwana Kipruto Rapkiru has just joined in, and I can see he looks very calm and sober. Let's first begin with him. And do you think this presents a problem?
Well, on the face of it, it presents a lot of problems. And my worry is not even about NASA and Jubilee. It's about our country. Because, you see, a flawed election is determined by the process under which you go through. And already we are almost prejudging, rightly so, that the next election is going to be flawed on the basis of the timelines. And this is the danger when you make leaders, businessmen leaders in a country. This tender has been cancelled because of impropriety on the part of those who are in the government. Because they are interested parties and they just want to partake of this tender. We know more details than we will care to say in the media. But what is happening is that those in the establishment are already getting involved in the tendering process of everything that is being done nationally, including the issue of elections. So this is where I'm already worried, just like many other Kenyans are worried, that why are we messing a country that we've nursed for the last 54 years? Because the two gentlemen in power must listen to Kenyans. Let us not allow this country to go to the dogs. Yes. Because Kenya is bigger than Ruto and Uhuru. Now, in your own thinking, do you still think it's possible that even if we are not able to meet this April 10th deadline, that we could still advertise for that IBC could still go ahead and re-advertise for the tender and be able to procure the technology in time, in good time for the elections? Well, the last time I knew about procurement rules is that it takes 42 days. So if you are to advertise tomorrow, it will take about 42 days. That takes us up to May. It is creating a very dangerous precedent. But it's still possible, because we do understand, and the IEBC chairman Wafula Chebukati is on record as actually saying that some of these timelines are set were not tenable. That probably this April 10th deadline should have been pushed to at least 2 months to the election date. In his thinking, 60 days before the election is still good time.
Okay, let me explain. When you look at the public procurement law, there are 3 provisions when it comes to tendering. We have the open tender, this which takes a longer period. We have a restricted tender, and we also have direct tender. But the ideal situation is to go for open tender. But when you go for the next options, whether you're going for restricted or direct,
because I think this one they had already resolved to go for single sourcing.
Yeah, you must go for justifications. You must put justifications. And in this case, where we have a short time frame, you don't have even to go for that open tender, which will take long. You can go for the restricted tendering or direct tendering. It's allowed within the law, so long as justifications are there. And this issue, why was it cancelled in court? It is clear that people rushed to make the process flawed. They didn't follow the regulations as stipulated in the law. This is why the High Court cancelled this. So from the word go, there was a conspiracy for this issue to fail. Again, after that, Jubilee government brings a law in Parliament to say that in case this electronic system doesn't work, let's have an option for alternative. So the way things are moving, it is confirming our fears that there was a conspiracy from the word go to eliminate this integrated system to go the manual way, which is vulnerable or predisposed when it comes to matters of rigging. I want you to understand that.
Yes.
So the issue here is the way the law was initially, and this was based on the Crickler report, the whatever we had. That's why we had the BVRs, we have the EVDs, and electronic transmission. So this integrated system, as I explained earlier on, was integrating the BVR which has taken your biometrics, and when you go to register, there is electronic verification to confirm it is you, not that person from Langata Cemetery who was resurrected to come. Then from there, it transmits the results so that there's no voter stifling or whatever it is. It was to eliminate. That's how it is. But now,
do we have
because of the procurement aspect, we have a way forward.
Yes.
It is possible.
Yes.
It is possible. Let them not cancel. But we have other methods of procurement, like the direct one, which is they'll be within a short time frame.
Yes.
And we have other many countries which can come in to solve this crisis.
Yes.
Otherwise, Kenyans are not ready to go for the elections which are going to be rigged.
For example, do you think, as Bwana Chebukati has put it, that the commission asking that the timelines be changed, which probably should come back to Parliament for you to be able to make that possible, that 60 days to the elections, it's possible to get that technology and it works?
Oh yes. I truly believe in what he said, and responding to my, I think this is a person I respect so much, Namitanga Waziri. He came throwing jabs to Uhuru and Ruto. I mean, we are discussing the country here. This is not a business of
But they are important players.
Not a business.
We know how
Uhuru.
they are meddling in the process.
Really.
I mean,
I'm making my point.
So why are you in defense of them?
I'm not in
How
defense
much do
of
you
them.
know about it?
How much do you know about the tender?
I just
we
want
know.
to say,
This is my point. What is important is that we have an institution, and the chairman just stood before us and said, we are able. That is what matters to Kenyans. The person who is in charge saying that we are going to do this. All right? So if the chairman confirms to the country we are able to deliver to Kenyans the election they so deserve as per the law, and I repeat, as per the law, where is Uhuru and Ruto coming in? I think we should leave them aside.
We've had it before.
Okay. I want to give Bwana Karanja Kabagi an opportunity to talk about this, and it's about the timelines and the possibility. Are we saying this is it, or in your own opinion there is still a possibility to remedy the situation?
I think what is very important here is the law being complied with. If the law is being complied with, I'm pretty comfortable myself. And the gentlemen who are with us here, they are the lawmakers. Issues of timeline can be, it is normally within the regulations. It's not even the main act.
Yes.
It's the regulations.
Yes.
And the regulations can be amended to provide for accommodation for whatever exigencies there is. So I would hope, and I believe that the IBC in its wisdom will be able to approach the relevant institution called Parliament to be able to provide for extension of the deadlines.
Yes.
And I agree with Mheshimiwa Wamalwa here that when you have a situation like we have, you can go for single sourcing of the equipment, and it can be done. Because
and I think we were already there, because even this one was single sourced.
Even the one they're going to do, they can still do it.
Yeah, it was not.
Yeah. So these have been tendered for, but the single sourcing, it is provided for, where in situations justifies, and this particular one justifies.
Yes, Bonakirwa, do you agree with that?
Well, I do agree, but I hope when they do single sourcing, it's not going to be one of their agents abroad. Yeah.
Okay. At least now we got that one sorted out. There's still hope it's not done yet. They could still be able to procure that technology and get it in time. It will take a bit of changes in the regulations. Probably it will need to go back to Parliament so that the timelines can be adjusted from April 10th to, even as Wafula Chebukati says, even up to 60 days just before the election. He's confident they can still do it. Let's now go to the top story of the day. Raila Fund poll violence, says Uhuru. That's on the Daily Nation. On the Standard it says Uhuru Raila clash over 2007 violence. President reignites controversy on post-poll clashes by accusing Odinga and absolving the deputy president. Now, it's a similar headline on Taifa Leo saying, if we could put up the headline on Taifa Leo, I forget the wording exactly, probably because for some of our audiences, they would want to read it in a different language. Raila aliwasha moto mwaka 2007 asema uhuru. Yes, that is what is headlining on the Taifa Leo. Now, my question is this, because this is almost 10 years after the post-poll chaos. Of course, we've gone through a lot. The ICC was probably the key thing in the last elections. It was still related to the post-poll chaos. It is 4.5 months to the next election. Do you really think the president did this strategically? That he knew he would talk about the post-poll chaos, that he went out and knew, yes, I'm going to go and accuse Raila Odinga of being behind the post-poll chaos 4 months to the next election? Or do you think it's just one of those things that when the president speaks, it comes out and he cannot take it back?
Well, I think I want to draw a parallel. If you go to 1933, when Adolf Hitler took the reign of power in Germany, and throughout the time when the infamous Holocaust took place, where millions of people were killed, it has not been resolved up to this day. We still have people in their 90s who are taken to court and accused of crimes against humanity, of crimes of genocide. This country, at one time, will have to confront the reality of what happened in 2007. It does not matter what time. We have to confront, whenever that time is going to be, whether it's yesterday, today, or 100 years down the road. Because the situation we faced was such that lives of Kenyans were lost. Lives of Kenyans were displaced. People suffered. Now, we need, therefore, to be able to say, can we confront the ghost? Can we confront the elephant in the room? For me, that is something that needs to be done.
And are you saying that the president, that is exactly what he was doing, that he intentionally was confronting this elephant in the room?
I have no idea what was the president confronting. He made a statement. So what I've said, I'm drawing parallel.
Yes.
I'm drawing parallel because there are so many unanswered questions.
Yes. As
to how did it happen that 1,300 Kenyans lost their lives? How 650,000 Kenyans were displaced? How did it begin?
Yes.
And what was the genesis of it?
Are we running the risk of making the 2007-2008 chaos a subject in this election, Bonomalu?
I think this statement that the president made is very, very unfortunate. As we approach elections, we want to go through the healing process. I've been trying to see what was the objective or what was the motivating factor for him to have brought this. To make it worse, he says, Raila did this and he defends Ruto, his DP. 2007 elections, the perception was it was rigged. That Raila Molo Odinga won the elections. And people started reacting spontaneously and all that. And by that time, William Ruto was playing in the team of Raila Molo Odinga. For the president to have done this, I find it selfish. And that's why in my thinking, that maybe it was a slip of the tongue. This is my thinking.
Yes.
Because really, as the head of state, to come up with such a statement, particularly at such a time, because if Raila was involved in one way or another, we had Kofi Annan.
Yes.
Who they did all this, he was not in the envelope. Those who are in the envelope, they are known, but they could not meet the threshold. And that's why the case could not hold. But my advice to the president is, 207 people lost lives. People lost property. I'm begging the president, if possible, to desist from going back to those wounds. I have people from my constituency, they are working in Naivasha, in those flower farms. They lost lives. When you look at the state they are in, even as we speak right now, the IDPs have not been settled 100%.
Yes.
We still have people still suffering. So for His Excellency the President to come up with such an issue, to me, I think, I don't see any value.
Bwana Mutambu, do you agree with Chris Omola that it's probably a slip of the tongue, that the president did not really intend to reignite debate or discussion around the
I wish you could play that clip, because I watched the news yesterday and I heard President talking about it. And what he did, he was actually cautioning the people of Gusiland. Mtu akikuja anakuja hapa kuambia. So that means he was drawing those points from somebody's speech. It was not his speech. He said somebody amekuja kuambia ati it happened like this and this and this. Then he gave the narrative of what happened. Right? So from where I sit, we need to understand, where was the president coming from? If he was cautioning the people of Kesi that what they are being told, they are being peddled lies.
So it was not a slip of the tongue. He was doing it intentionally.
To me, it was it was a caution that this person who is telling you this is a lie, and that's what we need to trust. And like you have said, and like he has said, when he said that he's going to draw a parallel, we need to understand we are approaching election, and we know that 10 years down the line we lost lives, and we need to take account and be precautious that this thing should not happen again. And that method, when we are taking that road, we need to ask ourselves, why did it happen? And I will tell you for free, and I have no fear when I say this, all these leaders you see here, most of them, they carry a blame of what happened in 2008.
Yes.
Why? I'm in the record saying this, and I have no problem saying it. What we do, one thing lead to another. What we do, the decision we make as politicians, the utterances we make, all right, the position we take, can lead to chaos. Like one, I will give an example.
Because I'm also quite careful not to reintroduce really discussion on that matter. That's why we're even asking the question, is it the right time to reintroduce this discussion? And Bonakirwa,
you can be cautious all the time. You have to be cautious all the time.
Yes. And seeing the president reigniting this debate, 4.5 months to the election, surely, is it the right time, or should we be discussing, should we really make the 2007-2008 happenings a matter of discussion during campaigns?
I think deeper analysis of the situation indicates that Uhuru is a frustrated person, given the fact that he was talking in Gisi, and the Abagusi are largely in NASA as we talk today, and that explains President's frustration. But when you go back to 2007, the last election was won on the ticket of unity against the Hague by the two gentlemen. And I think as NASA we've been trying to avoid that situation, because we feel it was unfortunate, the way my colleagues have said. It is a situation that should not be repeated in Kenya. But I think the president is trying to bring back that issue as a way of trying to structure some kind of gravitas and create some kind of sympathy out of that. In fact, I expected the two gentlemen in power today that immediately they were acquitted, and we thank God for the acquittal. They should have spent time trying to make the two communities come together, the Kalenjin and the Agikuyu, because they may be in Jubilee together, but I come from Trans Nzoia, just like Mheshimiwa Wamalwa. The issue is not yet done, and what we need is a healing process which is genuine.
Yes.
And that should have been his job.
Is that something that can be achieved over a campaign period?
No, this is the wrong time. What the president should do is to fight for his life in terms of this election. Should he survive, then he should start the healing process. And should we take over power, we'll also continue with the healing process, because that is more important than an election.
And Bwana mentioned something very important, and it's been mentioned in other circles, that around this election we appear to be missing something to clinch on. Yeah, because around 2013 the ICC issue was really hot, and it was used to mobilize the masses. In 2007 it was a change. It was Bwana Mwai Kibaki's re-election, of course, coming immediately after the orange and banana issues, and it was something different. But around this election we appear to be missing something, and it's across the political divide, something to clinch on or to hang on. Is that what we're missing, and probably leading to such remarks?
Well, first of all, I don't quite agree with my brother Mheshimiwa Kilwa when he says that the president is frustrated or he is demonstrating some anger of some kind. I think the issue here is from both sides. The greatest single agenda of leadership in this country is how do we pursue political agenda that is geared towards a number of imperatives. One is to deal with the number one political problem, and the number one political problem in any country is the economy. What programs do you have that will be able to grow the economy of the country? Because at the end of the day, when we have shortages, that's when we have conflict. That to me is an agenda that will be pursued from both sides.
But does it generate excitement when you discuss about the economy and prospects?
Well, I think let me tell you, as the country grows, people are going to realize the biggest single challenge is how do you improve your standard of living? How do you have capacity to be able to meet your needs? Leaders are not there to dish out gifts to electorate. They are there to create opportunities that will allow Kenyans to be empowered, so that that Kenyan has the capacity to make an independent decision as to who they elect or they don't elect. Today, the biggest challenge is the Mwananchi is wondering, where is my next meal coming from? Now, to answer that question as to where is the next meal coming from, it is we need to be creative enough as a nation, to be innovative enough as leaders, to ensure that the economy is expanded. And any country in the world, whether it's developed or developing, that is usually the challenge.
And you say that is what we should focus on.
That is what we should be focusing on.
But surely, we, as I said, that to politicians does not seem to generate the required excitement or the required momentum to mobilize your voters. Probably when the ICC was an issue, it worked. Yes?
I think what Honorable Ruto said in terms of frustration, he was very right. Maybe my brother didn't understand the context, and I want to clarify the context. Why the president looks frustrated? He's the CEO of this country. He's the one to be in the driving seat of improving the economy of this country. And some of the indicators in a good performing economy, the issue of employment. The youth you look at now, there's no opportunities for employment that the Jubilee government has created. That's one of the frustrations. Secondly, look at the cost of living. When he took over power, how much was the unga costing? How much is unga costing now to the common mwananchi? Look at the issues of the wage bill. And these are matters, indicators in an economy. Right now we're being told people cannot even access credit, opportunities of doing business, the level of corruption. So these are some of the indicators that shows this economy is not performing. And as the CEO, as he clearly puts it, you are the one to drive the economy. Have you provided a conducive environment, maybe to bring investors, job opportunities? It is zero. And this explains the corruption. I mean, and maybe the Kisii community, because it's largely NASA, but the president goes there and parades Matiang'i, and he says, look, I've given your people employment. Last time you never voted for me. You are supposed to bring a face of Kenya, whether people voted for you or not. It is your responsibility as the head of state to provide equal opportunities. So that shows a sign of desperation, actually. These people, Matiang'i, whoever they are in that position because they qualify and they are Kenyans. Yes. Not through that favor.
Mutambu, do you think the president is short of a hook? Is why he doesn't have something to hang on?
No. I am not going to miss my word, and I said it, and I'm going to repeat that the president was just being cautious, and he only told the Bagusi that whatever stories you are getting are not correct, and I will stick to that, and I have no apologies to make. Listening to Amama, it's like you don't live in this country. When he says that, the government of today has created no jobs, I really do not understand where he's reading from. And I would beg to leave that subject to himself, because he knows better. I don't want to address him.
Cost of living?
When he talks about cost of living also, as someone who has done economics, because Amado was once a lecturer before he joins politics, and he understands our country better. I'm sure he understands actually better than me. I will give him credit. He understands how the cost of living changes in our country. And my good friend here, who has been also a minister before, okay, he will tell you, when he was a minister, things were not like this. Were not like the same. And he will tell you there are some parameters, which changes day by day. The lives we used to live during Kenyatta's time, so to speak, the first president, it's not the times we are living today. The cost of dollar then is not the cost of dollar today. There are so many things which makes the economy change the parameter and the way it is. So when he talks about bloated wage bill, I've been a pioneer of the bloated wage bill in this country, and he knows very well the constitution we adopted. He knows very well how many counties we created. Actually, we should thank, let us be appreciative. We should thank Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta for leading this country within 47 counties. This constitutional requirement, the institutions were put in, and the amount of money which is going to counties, we need to ask ourselves, where is that money coming from? Yes. Are we asking ourselves those questions? And we are just quick in blaming, and we are not taking audit of what is happening on a day-to-day basis.
Now the debate comes to this, because yes, campaigns appear to have kicked off in earnest. The president is already touring different parts of the country, so are our opposition leaders. Shouldn't this, what we've just heard here, be the debate that yes, the economy, employment, jobs, on the headlines we're reading about things that may have happened that are not so good 10 years ago?
No. Before you go there, I will not let you go with it. He said somebody comes and is telling you this. So that means somebody started. So he was telling them whatever being told is not true. Yes.
Okay.
So you should not, make an element out of it.
But with a lot of respect for Mheshimiwa, he should not be telling us what is not in the media. We are doing what we call a press review, and we are reviewing what the president said yesterday. And he talked about something that he should not be talking as head of state. He is in a very responsible position. Uhuru is not like me. He is in a very responsible position, and anything you say about other leaders is actually building that kind of animosity. And that is where we should be shying away from. But when we come to the issues of economy, I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about that, but the truth be said, there are so many parameters that are indicative enough that the economy is not doing well. One of which is some companies are closing down, some companies are relocating out of Kenya, some companies are laying off some people. I talked to an old friend who for the last 10 years has been enjoying as a manager in one of the insurance companies. Now they have downsized the company, and the company is laying off Kenyans. So when we talk of creation of jobs, creation of employment, it should be seen in tangible terms. Retain the jobs that we have. Don't destroy the people who are already employed gainfully, and you in the pretense that you are creating jobs, unless you are creating jobs like the NYS for people to loot the institution.
Okay. Dear viewers, of course, you can see even my panelists don't want to spend too much time on this particular headline about the post-poll chaos in 2007. The debate quickly moves to development issues and other matters, and I think we should do the same. Yes? Let's now talk about NASA, but before that, there's also a very interesting headline here, and this is a shocker for aspirants as 10 agencies gang up. There are many people who have been convicted of criminal offenses relating to integrity. We need to have a database that is available to all these agencies. And I'm quoting the Attorney General Githu Muigai, who now says that he was speaking at a forum with the IEBC, ESCC, and all these other organizations, including the Commission for University Education, are coming together to try and lock out aspirants with questionable academic qualifications and integrity issues as well. But because of time, this is a story that should be given time. Let's take a break. When we come back, I want us to discuss what is happening in NASA, because it is equally as important.